Good evening, folks. I'm Steve Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered.
Ready, win, fatality.
Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. January 24th, 2024. We are in the future. Good evening, folks. Steve Vasquez. I'm going to talk about a few things here before I get up out of here. Happy Wednesday. Good evening. Yes, just want to get on real quick and talk about some stuff that I posted and also stuff that I've heard. Anyway, folks, as some of you may have seen my post in regards to the school closings that are going to be happening for next year. So if you're a Yonkers parent of a Yonkers public school student who attends public school number 9 and the Cornwall Academy over off South Broadway there. I had the picture up. There you go, School 9. I heard that there was some work actually that was done to it. So there was money spent to do repairs very recently, but now I'm hearing that it's going to be closed down along with the Cornwall Academy off South Broadway. The Cornwall Academy is on South Broadway across from the detectives headquarters, the courts, excuse me, and School 9 is on Fairview. I don't know if it's Fairview Drive, Fairview Place, I'm not sure, but it's on Fairview. Both schools are going to be closing. It has nothing to do with the superintendent. Some people may have been saying that the superintendent hasn't even started yet. I believe he begins in May of this year, but no, it has nothing to do with that. They're going to be combining the schools. I'm assuming, from what I'm being told, I'm guessing that they're going to be combining both School 9 and the Cornwall Academy and put the students into the new school over on McLean Avenue that's just about being wrapped up, and that's going to be opening next year. So there you have it. That's what's going to happen. No, it has nothing to do with the new students. But why, is it because the school buildings are old? Is it because there's a need sure, there's definitely a need for new school buildings. These aren't the only schools that should be probably closed down and rebuilt. A lot of them are. The average age of the school buildings here in the city of Yonkers is over 90 years of age, right? Some of them well over 100 years old, the buildings. But I believe that really what triggered them to build the new school on McLean was because they anticipated that they would be closing down the Cornwall Academy specifically, as well as School 9. Why? Cornwall Academy sits behind St. Mary's. And so many of you may know or may not know, very recently, the Archdiocese announced that they would be shutting down St. Mary's on South Broadway that's been here for over 150 years because there is $10 million in repairs that are needed and they just don't have the money. Many people are upset. Many people have been going there for generations. A large segment of the Arabic community here in the city of Yonkers has also been going there for many, many years now. And so it's very dear and near to the heart of many. And so a lot of people are upset. Why can't they come up with the 10 mil? Well, because the developers want the property, right? Let's just call it like it really is, right? So the reality is, in my opinion, it's not the reality, I guess it's my opinion, but we shall see this probably come to fruition. That lot is very, worth a lot of money. It's a premium piece of property right there, as we see a lot of developments happening here in the city of Yonkers, right? The whole downtown area, Southwest Yonkers, Northwest Yonkers also is being developed. A lot of things happening there. But St. Mary's closing down. There's going to be some developer that's going to come buy the property. They got to get rid of the school in the back there, which the Yonkers Public School was leasing from the Archdiocese. So it wasn't a Yonkers Public School building. So that wasn't going to be a permanent situation, but maybe it should have been. It's a school that was, mostly minority students, Hispanic and Blacks attended there. It catered to the families in that area where, there's really no other school in that area, right? That St. Mary's right there by Riverdale and Vark Street, South Broadway corridor. So, that was a place for many students who were, again, mostly Hispanics and Black students, but mostly Hispanics, many bilingual students. And so, I think maybe the school or the city should have got the property itself, right? But what do I know, right? What do I know? Because we need more than just one, right? And is it that they built this one on McLean simply to get rid of the kids from Cornwall, so or to have a place for them to go so they can go ahead and sell St. Mary's Church, sell off that whole lot for developers? They knew this was happening, and we're not going to see another school for a while. Is that what it was? Was that the motivation to build a new school? It wasn't very well thought out, that school. It's on McLean and Lawrence. It doesn't have any outdoor space for the kids. You're going to combine possibly two schools, elementary schools, but provide no outdoor space. I guess they can walk to Pelton Park, have them cross that street every day, right? There's also no parking for the teachers, for the staff members. So what are they going to do? It's going to be a very difficult situation. It's not the best location for a school. And with so much, land that was available, I think they should have done a better job at finding locations for new schools. Now, I have reports, very thick reports that were done back in 2010 that detailed the needs of the Yonkers Public School District buildings. It detailed every single school one by one, item by item, telling you what was needed, what needed to be repaired or replaced, and the cost that it would be for that one particular school. And we're talking about $5-10 million or more, some $40 million for, well, I don't know about 40, but it was pretty high up there, maybe for some of these schools in order to bring them up to a condition that's adequate, right? That's sufficient for our students and what they deserve, right? And they said there was also a need for at least 3 more schools. This is going back to 2010, so this is nothing new. Finally, we're getting one school on McLean, but is it because the developers want the land that these schools that will be closing sit on currently? It was that the motivation? Because we're talking about 2010, we're in 2024, and they're just now getting a school done for the 2024-2025 school year. We still need at least 2 more. And when you add now the additional students that are coming in from the city, migrant children that are now attending schools, we probably need about 2 more. So we probably need about a total of 5 schools, and that's not including the repairs that still need to be done to the existing schools. So this is something we don't hear our elected officials really talking about, right? They talk about the developers changing zoning laws and all this and stuff, approving this development, right? But they never speak on the schools. They'll tout that one school, the Soyo Might or whatever school, I forgot the name. Excuse me if I don't know the name, right? But that school's not even adequate. It's not in an adequate location, right? It doesn't provide an outdoor space for the kids. It doesn't provide parking for the teachers. It looks like it was a rush job. Just find a place because we have to get rid of the kids over at Cornwall and we have to sell that property off to developers. So we have to think about this as parents. What's really going on here in our school district, right? Who are the ones actually making the decisions? Sure, you see people with certain titles, but who are the ones truly making the decisions within the Yonkers Public School District? Who's in control of the district, right? Who's managing this, right? And not to mention many of the high salaries that a lot of the teachers receive and staff members. And I'm not attacking them. I'm not trying to take away. I don't want to get people upset with me. But we have to understand that the reality is that we need so much in improvements. We need more buildings, cost a lot of money. But our budget is eaten up by salaries and pensions. Over 60% of the money that is given to us or we have budgeted for the school district, which can be $400-600 million every year, over 60% of that is eaten up by salaries and pensions. And the overall budget of the city, about 70%, probably close to 70% of the overall city budget, which is $1.4 billion, is eaten up by salaries and pensions. And the reason why some people have an issue with that whole system where They average out the last 3 years of certain departments, and they give you that for your pension. Is that many people then you know get a lot of overtime. They'll try to increase those last 3 years so they can average out a nice salary. But what that does is it puts further strain on the pension system here, the money, right? We can't allow that to happen. We can't just allow you to jack up your yearly salary for the last 3 years so you can settle off with a nice pension somewhere up in, Yorktown Heights or Somers, or go down to Florida, and pay that taxes and spend the money there, right? It doesn't stay in Yonkers. A lot of that money doesn't stay in Yonkers. So, this is something that our elected officials should be discussing and should be tackling, right? When they talk about finances, the only thing that they mentioned so far is raising their salaries. And this is another thing I want to talk about, right? Recently, as we all know, they voted on increasing their salaries. Beautiful. Wouldn't it be nice for you to just go into work one day and say, you know what, I'm going to vote on myself a 30 to 40% raise because the cost of living is going up. I know the groceries are expensive these days, and I can't afford to buy eggs anymore unless I give myself a salary. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I don't care what anyone else has to say. I don't care how that impacts the budget and others, right? What a lot of people may not know is that they knew this early on in 2023. They actually budgeted the money for these raises back in early 2023, the beginning of 2023. Yet not one council member, regardless of how they voted, not one council member made the people aware of this. It wasn't until just before Christmas, when they went and voted on this, did anyone mention it. Those who opposed it said nothing until the very last second. Why? And I questioned someone like Anthony Moranti, who I like. I don't dislike Anthony Moranti at all. I just have to try and understand things. You, as the chair at that point of the Budget and Finance Committee, did you not know that? Did you not see that? Was that overlooked? Or did you not care to tell the people that at some point we were going to be voting on raises? We're budgeting it in the budget already because we want to give ourselves a retroactive raise. So we have to make sure that that retroactive money is in the 2023 budget. And so no one said anything. The same with the term limits. Every single council member pretty much knew how they would vote come time to vote on the term limits. And even those who opposed it, like Corazon and Moranti, said nothing to the people. So I wonder, was their bid to become mayor even a real bid, even a real campaign, or was it all for show? Are we just watching a reality TV show here? Is it a scripted show? One has to wonder, because if you pay close enough attention, you start to see patterns. And therefore, you are able to better predict what they're going to do, what they're thinking. And a lot of it is patterns that repeat. So we just have to pay attention. It's important. Our community is changing, and many of us don't like it. Those that are from Yonkers, that have our roots here in Yonkers, we're getting the short end of the stick. We're not getting anything that benefits us. The cost of living is going up. It's hard to afford rent anymore here, let alone groceries. Parking is becoming more difficult, and it's taking you a lot longer to get from point A to point B. Shanae Williams talks about affordable housing now, as she's the county legislator. Congrats to her. But she was the councilwoman for District 1, where many of the developments have occurred. Developments that have created this increased cost of living. Let's just be honest. The more luxury developments you bring in, higher income earners coming into the city of Yonkers, you're going to inevitably cause all of the housing to go up, including those that are labeled affordable housing. So while Shanae watched her district for the past 2-3 years continue to be overdeveloped, she said nothing. While people from the Southwest, Northwest side continue to be priced out, pushed out, she has remained silent. But now, at her new gig, She's talking affordable housing. Remember, once they killed the affordable housing ordinance, she never brought it up again. Westchester County officials passed Land Acquisitions Acts allow for more affordable housing to be developed. Westchester County officials on Monday passed land acquisition acts that will lead to more affordable housing being built in the future. Officials voted unanimously in favor to pass the acts, which will allow the county to buy land for the construction of housing units for seniors and families suffering from housing insecurities. Shanae goes on to say what she thinks, which I don't really think is going to do us any good listening. Right. And they mentioned senior housing. They've been doing more senior housing than any other type of affordable housing. I'm just wondering why. And why is it that many of these affordable housing developments are lacking 3-bedroom apartments? There are families, many families are in need of affordable housing, not just single individuals. So I'm wondering, what is really the plan? We have to connect the dots. We have to read between the lines. Most of these apartments are 1 and 2 bedrooms. Eventually, they want to push out a certain group of people. That includes poor families, because if you are a wealthy family, then you can go buy a house. But we need these 1 and 2 bedrooms for the people that we anticipate flooding the city of Yonkers once all of the movie studios are built and who will be working in these movie studios. And I can almost guarantee you that a small percentage, if any, will be from Yonkers. By the time that happens, people would have already left because it was just too expensive to stay. And those seeking to buy their first home are going to have no choice but to go up to Orange County and Dutchess. Homes now are going for $700,000, $800,000, $1 million, even in areas you wouldn't look for a home. But the big spenders are coming, buying up the property, sometimes overpaying because they have the money and they can do that, driving up the comps all around in the area. So it's not just the cost of rents going up, but it's also the cost of buying a home. That's also going up, making it more difficult for people to become first-time homeowners. And it's, interesting that at some point they were talking about a pathway to home ownership for our families, a pathway to home ownership. How's that when the prices of homes continue to rise? But none of us, except the officials, were able to vote on raises for ourselves. So we are stuck trying to figure it out, right? So I want to show this meeting that was canceled. I spoke about 900 North Broadway. 900 North Broadway was being proposed for low density housing. And if you are in this area, if you live in this area, North Broadway, if you have a home there that's by St. John's, that area, Roberts Avenue, it's beautiful over there. I always loved that area because it just reminded me of this, like an older neighborhood from the 50s, with the trees, quiet, beautiful big homes. But that's all about to be destroyed if they have their way. They're doing a lot of development up by Executive Plaza, and they're looking to develop a piece of land, 900 North Broadway, into low density apartments, creating more traffic down or up the North Broadway corridor. So if you really think about it, they're creating traffic jams every way out of Yonkers, whether it's the North Broadway corridor up to Executive Boulevard to the Sawmill. That's going to be jam-packed if they continue to put more developments along North Broadway, right? Heading south down Riverdale, once they really get cracking, which they already have in the Lolo Park area, that's going to be flooded going in and out of the Bronx. We already see what's happening in the Yonkers Avenue, Nepperhan corridors, Ashburton Avenue, and there's many more buildings to come. So I mentioned this. Some people gave me some information on it, gave me the scoop. This property, 900 North Broadway, is owned by the brother of Nader Sayegh, Assemblyman Nader Sayegh. They were supposed to be discussing this in the city council, but I guess it's been canceled. Public hearing notice of cancellation. Please be advised that public hearing scheduled for Tuesday, January 30th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at City Hall Chambers will be canceled. right? A proposed amendment of Charter 43 of the Code of the City of Yonkers, commonly known as the Zoning Ordinance of the City of Yonkers, and the accompanying zoning map to reclassify and rezone the property located at 900 North Broadway on the tax map as Block 3415, Lot 23, Section 23, Section 3, from its present PEP district designation to MG district designation, has been canceled until further notice. Vincent Spano, City Clerk. So, it's interesting that they would cancel this after I spoke about it, after other, I put some posts about it. Other people have been digging up on it, but a lot of people are digging here in the city of Yonkers. Some of us, we're digging in, we're holding firm, and we're going to start pushing back a little bit. And I appreciate everybody who's digging, who's looking for information, who's catching a lot of these things, who are going through the minutes. Thank you, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, for introducing or wanting to introduce legislation to make the meetings more transparent, right? Produce minutes of the ethics board, even though they rarely have meetings, if any. So we'll get like one every 10 years, maybe, right? But that should have been done already. There shouldn't have been no legislation needed to be introduced to do that. That should already be a protocol for our city government, right? We need transparency. We want to know what it is that you guys are talking about. And these executive sessions, we need some transparency with those as well, right? That's all I'm saying. We need transparency. So, but anyway, folks, that's all I really want to say. I got to get up out of here. I got to go meet up with the missus. Thank you, folks, for following the page. Please continue to share. I bring information as I get it. I don't often have every single detail, but I think it's important sometimes to still put it out there, like the closing of School 9 and your Cornwall Academy, because you may be a parent of a child that goes there. And the sooner you know, the better, right? You can prepare for this. You don't want to know last minute. So I put that out there. But again, it has nothing to do with the new superintendent. He hasn't even started yet. But I think they will be combining the two schools because they have had low enrollment at those two schools and that's probably why they kept it low. They knew this was happening. One more thing really quick. It's interesting how I found out actually about Cornwall Academy was through Frank Jarris and the Yonkers Newswire. When my wife was actually, she was put in that school, right? She was at Roosevelt, then they moved her over to Cornwall Academy, which she loved very much. And just before she started that year, or the beginning of this year, Frank Jarris and Yonkers Newswire knew that they would be closing it down, and they were taunting my wife, saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter if she goes there because they're going to be closing it down." So they knew this was happening. These individuals knew all this was happening, and I got a lot of good information, Tasha, and your campaign team. Things that are coming from people you wouldn't think they come from, people that wouldn't know. And it's only time before the hammer drops. There's a reason why people are getting fired. Why did Tony Pagano get fired? Why was he forced out of the fire department? Anybody know? Well, maybe I'm just thinking like I do every day about this stuff. Is it because he didn't want to investigate some of the fires that are happening? A lot of fires have been happening here in the city of Yonkers, especially in areas that are seeing a lot of development. Just today, 312 Woodworth Avenue was on fire, doing a lot of development there, pushing a lot of the Black community out, pricing them out, or buying up the property and knocking it down, forcing them out. All for the movie studios that are going to be built all over the Northwest side. And so people are wondering about these fires. So some are saying, is it because Tony Pagano wanted to investigate these fires and they didn't want him to, and he wasn't okay with that, and so he had to go? Anything's possible in the city of Hills, where nothing's on the level. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Have a blessed day.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Yeah, but they want it for the developers, Will. It doesn't matter. It's going. Developers rule. We drool. The staff will have to park on the street like they do at School 22. That sucks, staff. Fight, fight, fight. Or say nothing. You don't want to get fired, right? We have to pay attention and vote. And it's sad to see only 26% of the city residents who voted in November. Hopefully, these coming elections, more and more people are waking up. Wake up, Yonkers. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. I'm here to inform you. Nothing more, nothing less. Be careful about others who are so-called news. They're cool for car accidents. They're cool for overdoses. But when it comes to politics, there's only one place for that. That's Basement Politics. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Be blessed. Be well. Vayan con Dios.